I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I never really thought I was going to be in the middle of a parking lot a month removed from achieving my life's dream. I never thought that before I turned 30, I would achieve my dream, the dream of my life. Like, do y'all really know what a dream is? A dream is something you think about, or you pray about, or you just work generally really hard towards achieving that. And to actually do it is crazy. And usually I have this thing where I don't allow myself to really take it in and enjoy it. This time, I'm not robbing myself of that joy. I'm not going to be my own thief. I'm not going to be my biggest hater here. I'm going to be my biggest cheerleader. This is to all the dreamers out there. Keep working, keep grinding. Let's talk, let's have a discussion. I mean, like I said, I'm by myself in the middle of a parking lot filming. I filmed a lot by myself before, but never like this. This is something out of my comfort zone that I'm doing here. And I'm doing this because I want y'all to see what it's like to, like, you know what I'm saying? Just to be you, just to do what you want to do, man. Like, it's crazy. I made a movie, my own documentary, feature film, went out and interviewed people, did things that I never thought I was going to be able to do, had a movie premiere at the AFI Theater. Yeah, man. Let's talk about achieving dreams. Let's talk about it.
One subtle sound can be enough to break you down. When your harmony's not found, can't wait for hope to come around. I know it's hard to be strong for someone.
Now, I'm not going to lie. Getting interviews was really difficult. That's the second thing, you know, like, I already knew I wanted to make a documentary. I already knew I wanted to be about physical media, not physical media versus digital media, but why in this digital world we live in, physical media still has its place and should still exist, right? That was something that was really important to me, especially at the time. It was really hot in the news, still is, but a lot of changes with like Ubisoft and PlayStation and their rumored, which now is not rumored, now it's coming out, but like a digital only consoles, like the future, like just things like that, where you're selling the disc drive separately. And I was like, man, I really want to talk about this, but I need people who like have insight, people who like sell these things for a living. So I need to go to actual stores, interview actual store owners or employees. How the hell am I going to do that? How the hell am I going to do that? And I was like, man, this is really disheartening. This is really complicated. This is really scary. And then I realized, man, something else that's plagued me in my filmmaking career. And that's doing too much. Having too much ego. Those two things. Let me break it down for you. And this could apply to anything, really. My biggest thing about ego was like, I'm like, oh man, documentary is going to be lame. No one's going to want to watch a whole feature documentary. I need to have like action set pieces. I need to have explosions. I need to have really intense dialogue. I really need to have some SAG actors. I need to have the whole production and soundstage where I need to have this camera, this lens, this sound equipment, this particular set of lights, this guy, that guy working for it. No. Look, man, you're doing too much. Do your documentary. I love documentaries now. I have a high respect for documentaries. One of the docs that got me back into documentary watching and really dissecting them was the Fire Festival documentaries, the one for Netflix and the one for Hulu. Both of them were different and had different angles, and one was a little bit more comedic, one was more a little more analytical. And it was really cool to see how two docs that came out like within a week or two of each other, covering the same subject with the same people, had like two different perceptions. And it's all about the interview styles, all about who the interviewee is. It's about whatever the director, producer, whatever the studio, whatever their vision is for their doc. Like, that's what it's about. And I found that so interesting. So I was like, bro, with a documentary, not only that, you can scale it down. Like, you don't need a whole production crew. Documentary you can do with very few people. Honestly, if you really wanted to, you could do it by yourself. If you really, really, really were pressed for people, time, and money, you could really do a documentary by yourself. Is that extremely hard and time consuming and taxing? Yes. And I had a lot of help through the majority of filming. So I did not do this by myself by any means. I did do a couple of shoots by myself, and I edited it all by myself, stuff like that. But I definitely got a lot of help when I definitely needed it. So I cannot attest to that, but I know it's possible. I've done short docs and some other stuff before by myself. So like I've done certain things, but I know that usually I like to have at least one other person, that's usually someone behind the camera, to do it, because that's like the hardest and most annoying thing, because there's nothing more annoying when you're filming and like stuff's out of focus, off sync, no wipeout, like all that kind of stuff to worry about when there's just someone always behind there just doing it. So there's that. But either way, you can do it with a small team. I did it with like 3 people basically. Me, my cinematographer, my co-writer, and he also did cinematography as well, Alex and Alwyn. And they really helped me. Now I think about it, because all our names start with A's, is technically like AAA. That's dope. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, I got a lot of help with it, but it's a very small team. Whereas if you're doing something else, like a more of a narrative piece, it's like, okay, you're definitely going to need a camera person. You're going to need a couple of different actors. You're going to need a couple of different locations. And that's another thing. Locations are expensive to get, depending on what you need it for. Now, for this documentary, I was able to just interview these business owners in the businesses they owned. So it was very easy, very controlled lighting, controlled sound, all that good stuff. It was very controlled environments, very peaceful and very fun environments to film in and to learn about these things in. So I was very fortunate and had a really great time. But that's what documentary filmmaking can be. You can have these amazing, amazing, amazing moments where people will invite you in to their world and you get to ask them questions and they get to really articulate how they feel about whatever subject you're interviewing them on. And I think that's really cool. I think that's one of the more essential parts of what makes documentary filmmaking so unique compared to other kind of stuff, right? Whereas you write like scripts and stuff like that, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm internalizing, like I have this viewpoint of the world, I'm going to put it in the script and my character is going to share that viewpoint, I'm going to express it through that, instead of like just asking for basically raw emotion, raw takes at the end of the day through documentary. But man, challenges. There was a lot of challenges when it came to making this film, man. Do not get it twisted. So what was nice about scheduling the first interview is that because they were all in the same like business park, we were able to go, because it was really far, mind you, we were able to go and film all 3 of them at the same day. And that was a big help and saved so much time, stress, and money on production. So I was really happy about that. But that big challenge and some other challenges that came through, like, first of all, I called a bunch of theaters. I emailed and called and went and visited a bunch of theaters to try to see where I could get this movie premiered at. And all of them gave me the cold shoulder, or they were really ineffective and just wasted my time. The one that was very responsive, very quick, was AFI Theater, which happened to be the most expensive one out of all of them, like by far. But I do not regret spending a single cent, right? Like every dollar I put towards that premiere, it paid off, and I couldn't be more happier. But at the time, I was very stressed. Now I was like, this is a lot of money, and oh my gosh. And if y'all want me to do a separate video about the costs and expenditures and all that to film, I'll do that in a different film. But this one is more about the dream aspect. You know, it's just more about the dream and overall aspect, not really getting into the nitty gritty about every single dollar and all the budget. But yeah, so I say all that to say the roadblocks, man. The roadblocks are crazy when it comes to pursuing your dreams, right? Because again, this is not just about filmmaking, it's about your dreams, wherever that may be. And man, like, roadblocks are serious, right? Because you have situations in which something like, you have momentum, right? You have momentum and you're building towards something, you're working on something, then boom, a medical expense. Or if you have a car trouble. Car trouble always comes when you're doing good in life, or it'll come when you're on your last freaking cent and you're like, please, nothing else go wrong. And your car is like, all right, bet, I got you. But yeah, roadblocks are serious, and it can really deter you from pursuing your dream or to keep going. And I had a bunch of roadblocks while I was trying to make my film and get it debuted and get it on Amazon and online. And one thing you have to do is you have to learn how to weather the storm. Weathering the storm, learning how to really develop that mental fortitude can really help you down the line when it comes to pursuing your dreams, when it comes to executing. Because making your dreams come reality, you can get all the pep talk, the motivation videos, you can watch all that stuff, the DIYs, all that stuff. But when it comes down to it, you have to be able to execute at an extremely high level. And if you cannot do that, your dream is going to be far from being completed, of being accomplished, right? It's still going to be just that, a dream. But I didn't want my dream to just be a dream. I wanted it to be a past experience. And to do that, I needed to just go for it, right? Roadblocks be damned. I had to go for it. And every single time I persevered, every single time I ran headfirst into these walls, they were broken down and I was able to advance. And new walls would pop up and I would do the same thing and it would break down again and down again and down again until I accomplished everything I needed to do. But man, filming was tough. It was a couple of months of filming. We went to a couple different locations in the DMV area, did some interviews, not digitally, but like through like conference calls in LA. So it was all over the place. Production was really stressful. It was in the summer, so it was super hot outside. But either way, man, I had a freaking blast. I went to places that I never thought I would go to unless I was doing a film like I was doing here. I had my buddy accompany me. He was my cinematographer through this film. And it was just so cool, man. And we also went to one of the biggest small business comic book chains here, Third Eye Comics, and be able to interview them and seeing everything they got going on and really learn about their perspective on physical media versus digital media and why they love physical media so much. And just be able to learn, like, one of the coolest things about pursuing this particular dream and doing documentary filmmaking in particular is that you really get to learn. And I feel like out of all the filmmaking themes, not even themes, but like out of all the trajectories filmmaking can get you, something I love about documentary filmmaking is that you have to be egoless when you make it, because if you don't, it'll be a really bad doc, in my opinion. And also you learn so much, whether it's other filmmaking techniques or that you wouldn't know about unless you did documentary filmmaking, because each style of film or movies have different set of techniques or different set of skill sets and knowledge that you need to have in order to execute. So documentary has its own, and learning that, you can't learn about doing it. So that was really cool. And then just learning more about physical media in the perspective of people who sell all this not digital media, all this physical media, sell this physical media, and they have such a good love for it that they made a whole store filled with it, right? So those are the people I wanted to talk to, and those are the people I was able to talk to. And that's what I mean by not letting roadblocks or bad days or bad weeks or bad even months or years get in the way, right? Because as soon as you do that, if I quit any step of the way, I wouldn't have learned any of these things. I wouldn't have been able to, upgrade or progress my knowledge and become even better filmmaker or just a better overall person, or just there's these little things, these nuggets that you get along the way of pursuing your dream that you don't get to unless you keep on going. You have to keep going. And so that's something I learned. Nothing else from this experience is learning how to just persevere and learning how to really find ways to execute no matter how hard it is. And man, I'm telling you, I really, really had some struggles. All right, let's get to the movie premiere aspect of things. It was tough, man. 'Cause I'm not gonna lie to you. We had to go and basically beg a lot of people to come to this movie premiere because I had a couple of people, my family, some close friends, some other associates that I made along the way, but we still had a 75 or so seater theater, and I wanted to get as full as humanly possible. So we went around, I printed flyers, and I went around to so many different other local businesses, some that rejected us from the movie to begin with, and some others that I just didn't know about, and some others that got recommended to me. And a lot of people crumpling up things, a lot of people being like, all right, yeah, man, good luck to you. Some other people, yeah, for sure, we'll be there. Never showed up, which is fine. It is what it is. They don't need it. Like, I'm not owed anything. But it's just such a humbling yet fun experience to like have to hit the ground running and having to like try to get people to go to your movie, this thing you made, this artwork that you made, and you want to share it with people. And you have to really get people to want to be interested in it. I think that's such an interesting aspect of film making that people don't talk about a lot, is how to get people interested in your work. And this isn't like, yeah, I could have done the social media route, but I don't have a big following, which is also fine. But I wanted to do the old school of hit the ground running, like also mixtape, mixtape type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hit it up like, hey man, listen to my shit, listen to this, listen to that. But it was humbling because a lot of people didn't really care. They're like, who is this guy? He's a random guy. We're in, peak business hours or whatever the case may be. Like, get out of here. And I understand. I'm a nobody. I'm some random person who's like, hey, here's a movie that I have to like explain to them very quickly in like 10 seconds and get them interested. So it was interesting. And not a lot of people showed up. But people did show up. And it meant the world to me because this was something you can only do once. You can only have your first movie premiere ever once. And so the people who did show up, it was like, yo, this is dope. This is an experience that I can never experience again. And these people are going to be forever edged within my memories, my mind, my past, my present, my future. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what filmmaking can do. That's the beauty of what we do. And it was difficult, man, but everything you want in life is really difficult. You gotta just keep going. You gotta keep pursuing. And I had lovely friends help me promote this thing. And it was just really dope. It was an overall great experience. And I can't lie, I just really liked it. The theater was amazing. I got snacks. To see yourself on the big screen was really cool. These are things you have to cherish. These are things that are not promised. These are things you have to work really, really hard for. I worked so long since I was a child and wanted to do something like this. And to do it at one of the best theaters of all time in this country was amazing. It was worth every penny. It was worth every blood, sweat, and tears. Worth all the charges, worth all the mileage. It was amazing, man. It was amazing. There's these little things I had to do, I had to learn, that took weeks upon months to learn and just try to execute the best of my perfection. Is the perfect film? Hell no. And I'm okay with that because this is my first feature ever. Like, I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to continue growing from this. But in order to grow, I need to know where I'm truly at. So I had to put all my energy, all my time, all my attention to detail into this film so I know where I'm at. And so that I have a baseline to grow from. And if you don't give yourself the ability to have that baseline, you're never going to grow. If you're sitting here waiting for the perfect conditions to make the perfect film, is never going to happen. Your film, especially your first one, is probably going to be shit. Whenever you try to pursue your dreams, the first rendition of that is probably going to be shit. It's probably going to be terrible. No one's going to care. Probably a lot of people are not going to show up. But the person who has to show up every single time you're trying to do something like this, it's got to be you. It has got to be you. If you do not show up for yourself, bro, no one else is going to. No one else is going to. And that's something else I learned through this process is leadership. I had to really grow and become a leader and understand how to really direct this set, how to understand when you're a leader, every single question that's asked is directed towards you. You've got to have an answer. You may not have all the answers, but you got to improvise. You got to do your best. So those are areas of my whole life I've struggled with. And so through making this film, through pursuing this dream, I have started to grow in those aspects of where I was faulting, where I disappointed people or disappointed myself, and I've really started growing from there. So listen, man, you're not going to have all the equipment. You're not going to, whether it's filmmaking or not, whatever you need equipment for, whatever you need to do stuff like that for, sometimes you just have to go into stuff a little unprepared. Prepare your best, but you're never going to be able to prepare for every single outcome, every single scenario. You're not Doctor Strange. You're not going to see all the possible futures and outcomes. But be prepared as best as you can. Work with what you got. That's one thing. I never was one to work with what you got type guy, and I learned to be one through this film, because there was no way I was going to be able to make this film just bleeding out money for stuff I didn't even need. Like, there was lenses and stuff that I bought, that not for just this film in particular, but just I bought before, and I rarely use them because I rarely need to. I'm also a lot of time filming by myself at the time, so like, before I made this film, so like, I couldn't even, it was just too much. It was just too much, and I was just doing the most. And a zoom lens or a couple zoom lenses will go a very long way, especially when you need a film, you know what I'm saying? So it was an experience that was very interesting, but you gotta show up for yourself. If you don't, no one else is going to show up for you. And no, why would they? If you're not going to believe in yourself, how are people who can't even see the vision that you're seeing, how are they going to be able to meet you there? You've got to guide people. You got to walk people through this vision of yours. You got to work. You got to execute. You got to stop finding ways to put up walls to obstruct your view of your vision. I've done it many times. You're like, this is really hard. Let me go do something that I know is going to take a lot of time, energy, and money away from me and not help me save money or use my money and put it towards my movie or whatever your situation may be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens every time. Do not let that happen, bro. Just lock in and focus on the little steps. Start making progress, man. I always say, like, giving yourself limitations can really help your creativity grow. Now, technology and all this extra stuff can help you if you're ignorant or like you just don't know some stuff, where you're just very limited finding. Like, there's so many ways that technology can be useful, and spending all that money can be useful, but like, you'd be very shocked of how much of it you truly don't need, and how much of it is just your ego talking, and how much of it is just you want to make this perfect thing, and you don't need it. I'm a huge believer now, especially the last couple of years. I'm a huge believer in being minimalistic when it comes to my filmmaking, or it comes to a lot of my activities, because yes, there's a lot of ideas I wanted for this video. This video that's really out of my comfort zone. This video that I really didn't really want to do per se at first. It would have been really helpful. The ideas I had and ways I wanted to really film this cinematically, I really could have used another person. But I know my friends are really busy. I didn't want to bother them. I just wanted to get this out. I didn't want to have to wait. So sometimes you just have to go film shit. Sometimes you have to just go do it. And there's one example. I can't tell you to do stuff and not practice it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe in that. So say all that to say, keep going. Keep loving yourself. Keep going and doing what you got to do. And just go do it. Use what you got and go try to do something. Your first film or your first shot at your dream doesn't have to be the one and only shot. It doesn't have to be the best product. It just has to be the best you can do. And always have fun, because if you're stressing and doing that, your cast and crew they're gonna feel that. If I let my stress and my depression and some of the stuff that I was going through, and let it bled through the film, it would have affected the film. It would have affected my cast and crew, and it would have messed up the movie, and my whole dream would have been shot. And I'm not saying to not go to therapy or not do what you gotta do to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Go drink some water, eat, sleep, do what you gotta do. I'm just saying, and I did that obviously, but I'm saying, like, professionalism and like business, and like, you know, for me, like, this is very serious. This is my business I'm talking about. Like, these are things I have to be really serious about. And me, a couple years ago, sometimes I'm very unserious with things. Sometimes I'll just be lackadaisical with some stuff, not really sweating the details, not really being locked in to every single detail that needed my attention. And like, now I'm different, and that's how I was able to execute and do this film. So go have fun. Just go out there and chase your dreams. Enjoy it. Forever habits start in your 20s. I see a lot of people be like, oh, you're in your 20s, like, you have time. You don't. I'm not gonna lie to you, you don't. I'm not saying you should feel some existential dread. I'm just saying, stop waiting. You waited this whole time, and what was it for? Go out there, execute. Peace.